Greetings everyone. I am so excited and I feel very honored and privileged to be addressing you at this big conference. We are going to be talking about expanding on the strengths and assets of one rural community where primary school teachers engaged in a community walk. So to take you through this presentation is myself, Sibonisiwe, and my colleague Nonqaba. We are also working together with Professor Lori. For now, I am going to hand over to my colleague Nonqaba, who is going to talk to you more about who we are, and she's also going to give a background of our school. Over to you, Nonqaba.
Thank you, Siboni. Molweni, Nonqaba Pakamili uthethayo, who is also very excited to be presenting at this conference. Unokuphumla ke uzalelwe eChintsa, and she has worked with a number of NGOs and volunteers in a bid to develop Chintsa East. She is currently an intermediate phase isiXhosa teacher. Sibonisiwe Chiwanga is a TEFL qualified ECD teacher who is passionate about teaching English as a foreign language to young learners. She has taught in primary schools in Zimbabwe and in South Africa. Professor Lori is a professor at Texas State University in literacy instruction. She has worked with children, community members, and teachers in South Africa for the past 10 years. Let me give you a background about our school. African Angels School provides a quality primary school education for 153 children from the Chintsa East and Glen Eden Township and from surrounding farms. The school is located in Chintsa East, a seaside village just outside East London, in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. The school is an English medium school and has no more than 20 learners in class, ensuring each child can get individual attention and assistance. All of the children at the school are from socially and economically disadvantaged backgrounds. We believe that a high quality education will enable our children to grasp opportunities later in life so as to become productive, employed, and sound citizens of South Africa. African Angels employs 10 teachers and 5 non-teaching staff.
Before going deep into the community work, I am going to address a community mapping challenge. In this challenge, we came up with a big question for teachers that, do we look at students and their families as broken instead of as individuals who already possess inherent strengths and who can make great contributions to their classrooms, their communities, and the world? So the main challenge to teachers is for them to look beyond what is lacking in their learners and try by all means to find what is already there, so as to effect change and sustain progress, and also to use this existing knowledge to improve their teaching and learners' learning. Community mapping in general, according to Tindall et al. 2005, it is a means to learn about community assets, resources, and needs. And also it is a means to challenge insider and outsider dichotomies by taking teachers outside their classrooms and into the community to question and challenge deficit perspectives about students, their families, and their literacy practices. Now, our community or work attempted to respond to this research question. How can we, as classroom teachers, move from feeling defeated, helpless, and hopeless in our beliefs about learners experiencing trauma, violence, chronic stress, and other troubling issues related to poverty, to being lighthouses of hope, having high expectations, and appreciating our learners and their families' inherent strengths? So, to answer to this, teachers from my school ventured into a community walk whereby they just took a walk into the community to try and familiarize themselves with the community where most of their learners come from. They just walked through and interacted briefly with some parents and learners that they met on the way. So the team of teachers was being led by 5 learners who we called our community ambassadors, because these ones, they knew their community much better. So as you can see on those pictures, we have teachers walking through the village, meeting different parents and learners. And there we can see them sitting and chatting. Now, on the theories related to this research, I am going to give back to my colleague so that she can take us through these theories.
Thank you, Bonnie. Now, let me talk about the theories related to research. Firstly, the strength-based approach, which encourages teachers to identify student existing strengths. It also encourages teachers to honor, value, and acknowledge these strengths. Teachers have to help students become aware of their strengths. They have to build instructional programming that boosts social ties and networks by drawing from students' strengths. Secondly, Funds of Knowledge by Moll et al., 1992, addresses the expertise that families bring to their children's learning. It also believes that families possess high level of knowledge and skills that relate to their work, home life, and well-being. Families pass on their knowledge to their children. Lastly, community cultural wealth, which encompasses a number of capitals, which every community pass on to their children, which are aspirational and linguistic capital, social and navigational capital, resistance and familial capital, perseverance, and lastly, spiritual capitals. All these capitals go a long way in the teaching and learning process. The research method we use in our research is as follows. There were 10 participants, which are the teachers, 1 school administrator, 5 grade 7 learners who were our ambassadors, and 1 university professor. The sources of data that we use are field notes, we used photos, we use written reflections, and focus group interviews. The data analysis were the constant comparative analysis and content analytical approaches.
Now, after the community walk, teachers at my school discovered quite a number of themes that helped them in their teaching process in the classroom. So these themes, I'm going to just point out to a few of them. The first one is the care and love theme, where teachers noticed a social capital in the community. And one of the teachers from my school, I quote, he says, I noticed how the people in the community take care of each other. Some teachers also discovered joy and happiness in that community. And the teacher that spoke about this commented that, I quote again, children come from an environment that doesn't have extravagant malls, they don't have parks and theaters, but they are still happy and proud of themselves. So that's an aspirational capital that teachers can use in the classroom to enhance and to promote learners' performance. Other theme that emerged from that work was intrapreneurship, whereby the community has local spaza shops, and some of these children and their families, they do operate these businesses where they sell different items to the public. So learners come to school with these skills already. And then we also discovered innovativeness and resourcefulness in Xinsa community. The other theme that emerged was the cultural and the community pride, where I will quote one of my colleagues who said there is pride in their community and a belief that the children value the teachers and their interest in their communities. This was due to the way that teachers were welcomed into the community. Everyone was happy and they were very kind to us, I would say. So that spirit of Ubuntu in that community is also a great capital in our learners. Now, the main important issue after convening and discussing and putting together our findings, teachers now had to connect all the information, all the funds of knowledge, the cultural and community wealth, and all those capitals. We had to connect them to our literacy lessons in the classroom. So as you can see, different themes there, they were used by teachers to support lesson instruction and lesson delivery. Teachers had to change some of their lessons to match and to go in line with what our learners already possess in them. As you can see, we have a picture of one of our ambassadors hugging a child with care and love. So lessons in the classroom become so easy. Topics like caring for my family. Teachers came up with different ideas, and some even suggested making a photo book on how each family in their community cares about one another. And some thought of inviting parents as guest speakers in the classroom to teach about how they care for their families in their own communities. So there were quite a number of literacy connections that I will not point out one by one, but some of the topics were caring for my environment, how to keep the environment clean. We spoke about waste management. We had maths lessons on data handling, on waste and on waste audit. We spoke about water sources in my community, how we can preserve and conserve water, lessons on the water cycle, and learners came up with different poems on water. This was supported by, I think that picture is quite clear of how this community gets their own water. They don't have tapped water inside their homes. They have a public tap where they fetch water from. So there were a number of lessons, as I said, we had on entrepreneurship. I have a prize list there on cardboard where different items are written there to advertise. So this as well informed so many lessons at my school where learners had to talk about money and change, shopping and budgeting, baking cupcakes for sale in the spaza shop, nutrition and nutritional value, and all that. Right. Literacy connections continued. So yeah, we spoke about the history of my community where learners had to interview some of the heroes, some of the people that stand tall in the community. Yeah. So briefly, these are the literacy connections that were informed by the community work. It made teachers in my school change the way they perceive their learners, to move from that feeling of being defeated, to move from that feeling that learners are dumb, they don't have anything, to being lighthouses of hope and to utilizing the cultural wealth that the learners already possess. Finally, the reflections and the recommendations that we came with after the whole research, I will give back to Nokupumla. She is going to just go through the reflections. Over to you, my colleague.
Thank you, Bonnie. This community work helped us to explore comparison on teachers' view of their learners before and after the village walk. Making connections on learners' funds of knowledge is a powerful tool in teaching and learning of literacy. It is essential that teachers develop a mindset that takes their learners' strength into consideration as they are designing literacy lessons. Teachers have to tap into what learners already know about a lesson or a topic and make those connections explicit. Community works really help teachers understand the unique ways a community functions and support each other. And it also encourages teachers to identify and notice the beauty and unexpected strength of the community.
By this, we have come to the end of our community work presentation, and I hope we have assisted some of the teachers, to improve their teaching and learning in their classrooms. For any questions, you are free to email any one of us on the emails that are appearing on my screen. Otherwise, it's bye. Thank you so much.